Well, good morning, my friend, and welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you with me on this Monday morning, the last Monday of 2024. Hope that you had a great Christmas time. I know it's been a few days since we've had a podcast. I'm back in the office. Of course, I worked during that time as well, but just for the podcast, just didn't do it during the Christmas time. But we're back. And I've got today and tomorrow to make something count for 2024, then 2025, right here on Wednesday. And I'm looking forward to what God's going to do in the next year. We had a great day yesterday for the last Sunday, the last service of 2024. Boy, God really gave us a great day with many souls saved and people baptized. What a great way to end out the year. Despite, man, we had a lot of people out because of sickness, yet our attendance held pretty decent. And that was exciting to see God do that. And just to continue to go forward. And then last night, another great attendance in church to end the whole thing out. God blessed in both services. And I hope that you had a great day to end out your year. And now as we look forward to a new year, I want you to do something to say, okay, let's see what we can do to make this next year count for Christ, do something great. And God certainly will bless us if we'll do that. In my Sunday school class, my goal for my Sunday school class is to double the size of my Sunday school class. I told my class my theme for the year for my Sunday school class, twice the size and 25. And I'm looking forward to seeing what God can do to grow my Sunday school class with the Lord's help, my hard work and the hard work of those in my class. And let's see what we can't do. And wherever you are, let's strive to make this year count for Christ. We got to make it count. And I would encourage you to do that. God would be pleased. And that really, this is a time that God's people really need to step it up. And let's see what we can't do and make this year really, truly count for Jesus Christ. I want to read to you today from Jeremiah chapter 42 and verse 6, where it says, whether it be good or whether it be evil, we will obey the voice of the Lord our God, to whom we send thee, that it may be well with us when we obey the voice of the Lord our God. Now, the remnant of Israel went to Jeremiah to ask him to pray. They said, would you ask the Lord what we're to do? They wanted to know. They're the remnant. They wanted to know what to do. The armies of Babylon were coming against them. And there was an element of people who thought they would be safe by running to Egypt to be protected there. Now, when they asked Jeremiah what they should do, they said that whether it be good or whether it be evil, notice this phrase. They said that they would obey the Lord. Now, they were saying that they wanted God's favor, even if it meant that harm came to them. Now, of course, the remnant did not listen to Jeremiah to their detriment, sadly, as many today do the same. And many of them lost their lives because they disobeyed what they said they would do. Now, the test of your obedience is determined by what is the stopping point to obeying the Lord. Obedience is not doing what you want to do, but it is doing what you're told to do when you don't want to do it. Obedience is not doing what you are told to do when it benefits you, but obedience is doing what you're told to do, even when it results in your hurt. Sadly, we have many today who put their finger up to the wind to see which way the winds are blowing to determine whether or not they're going to obey God. And if standing for truth benefits them, then they'll stand for truth and act like they're heroes. But then if standing for truth results in loneliness, losing friends of a lifetime, many that have abandoned the truth for the sake of just being accepted by the crowds, that's not true obedience. You show me at what point that you will stop obeying God, and I will show you the degree to which you truly obey God. If you're not willing to obey God, even when it hurts you, my friend, then you're not really, truly wanting to obey God at all. Look at some of the heroes in the scriptures who obeyed, but it did not benefit them. It did not initially benefit the three Hebrew children that stood and said, we'll not bow to Nebuchadnezzar's golden image. They obeyed God, but it brought God's favor to their lives. And eventually obedience benefited them when they were thrown back, but they only benefited them after they were in the fire. It did not benefit Joseph to obey God by avoiding being immoral with his boss's wife. But his obedience brought God's favor to his life and God's blessings many years later. Now, I want you to understand, In both of these illustrations that I just gave you, these people obeyed God and their obedience didn't benefit them. Joseph was thrown into prison. The three Hebrew children thrown in the fiery furnace. I can think of Daniel thrown into Daniel's den. Obedience didn't benefit them, but get this now, but it did bring God's favor and it brought his God's blessings to their lives at the end. Now, at what point do you stop obeying God? What is your stopping point? Are you willing to tithe as long as you have money to tithe? Are you willing to do God's will as long as it benefits your whims? Are you willing to meet your spouse's needs as long as she meets or he meets your needs? Are you willing to go soul winning even when it means that nobody's going to get saved? Are you willing to be faithful to church as long as it doesn't inconvenience your schedule? Now, this is not true obedience. Many a person, they say, well, I'm obeying God, but their job sure does pull them out of church. And my friend, I'm just going to be very honest. I'm going to be as straight as I can with you on this. A lot of good people go to church, but their jobs are pulling them out, and their jobs have become their idol. Don't tell me I got to have this job. No, you need to have God. The fact that your job is pulling you out of church means your job is pulling you away from God. And then you want God's blessing. How can God bless you if you're not willing to obey him, even when the result doesn't seem to benefit you in the immediate? If you truly want to obey God, you do what's right, which means you go to church. Oh, my friend, I can't tell you. I shake my head. I watch people, they grow in the Lord, they do good, they understand the importance of being faithful to church, but then a job comes and a job pulls them out. What about my job? Okay, well, what about God? So I guess God means nothing. I guess it just means that, okay, what about God? Only as long as it doesn't mess with my pocketbook and my job and what I want. That's what you're saying, which is not true obedience. The fact that you're willing to say that means you could care less about what God thinks because you don't care if your job keeps you out of church. And I'm talking to people that sit at home on Sunday nights watching stupid football instead of being in church. You're as backslidden as the devil, and you know it. And some of you need to get right with God before we end this year out. We got to be obedient to saying, okay, I want to do what's right. It's not going to benefit me, but I want to do it. That's what true obedience is. Now, your love for God is revealed by whether you obey him, even if obeying means it hurts you. The benefit of true obedience is having God's favor on your life. Now, if having God's favor means I must be hurt to do right, then being hurt is worthy of obeying God. Now, I want God's favor on my life, and I want his blessings on my life, but I cannot have a stopping point to obedience. Too many people have a stopping point. I'll serve you, God, as long. No, that's not true obedience. You take the ifs and the buts out and you just obey God. And it doesn't matter if you have to quit your job and get something that allows you to stay in church or not. You do what's right. There is nobody, listen to me, I don't care who you are, nobody is spiritual who allows their job to take them out of church. That job's become your idol. Well, what am I supposed to do to pay my bills? I don't know. What about my God shall supply all your need? God, listen to me, there's plenty of jobs. One, you got to be upfront when you get the job and say, I won't work on Sundays and I won't work on Wednesday nights because that's your church time. You tell your boss that. Now they may hire you. And then one day they're going to say, well, listen, I need you one time, just one time. And at that one time is when you got to say, I can't do it. Now, we made an agreement. When I got this job, I'm not going to do this. And you promised me. Now, that means that right now, that I'm not going to do this because God is more important. Listen to me, and they will test you. But once you do it one time, they'll do it again. They'll do it again. They'll do it again. You got to stop it at some point. And if your job is so right and where you're working is so good, then your job won't take you away from serving God. I challenge you today, have no stopping points to obedience. You do what's right. Obey God all the time, my friend, and God's favor will be found in your life. Well, I hope this challenges you today to do what's right. Let's remember today, be good to everyone.